Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of South Carolina Humanities, I'm Randy Akers, Executive Director. I'd like to welcome you to the 33rd annual presentation of the Humanities Awards. We are here to congratulate, to recognize, and of course to honor 6 outstanding individuals who this year are award winners, and thank them for their contributions to the public humanities in South Carolina. Our former governor, Nikki Haley, used to say, it's a great day in South Carolina, and I don't want to plagiarize that, but I would like to say that today is a great day in South Carolina. Thank you all for being here. I hope you have a great time renewing acquaintances. Many of us see each other once a year at this event and have longtime friends. But I hope also today that you make a new friend or two. It's a great way to network. We've got a lot of different organizations represented here today. This is a highlight and, of course, signature event of South Carolina Humanities. We look forward to this each year. And I think many of you in the audience look forward to it each year too, because many of you come back and we always enjoy seeing you. We look forward to October for significant contributions in the public humanities, in part because October is National Arts and Humanities Month. And the arts and humanities kind of underlined for me the true spirit and character of our state. Thanks to all of you in this room for being advocates for what is positive and meaningful for our state. And as we start our program, I would remind you, if you would, please turn off your cell phones. And several of you have asked about pictures. We're going to make pictures of today's event available on a link on our website that you'll have access to. No, take all the pictures you want, but we'll have some from the event and from Dennis, our photographer, available on the website. We could not host these awards without the help and of dedicated sponsors who give much of their time and their resources to make sure that the humanities and the arts are accessible in South Carolina. I'd like now to ask each of our table sponsors to please stand so that we can recognize you and thank you for making today's luncheon possible. Would our sponsors please stand? Thank you very much. Also, those of you who are table sponsors at your table, you've got a big charge ahead of you. At the end of the program, make sure at least someone from your table takes home the vase and flowers that are on the table. Those have been provided by Dr. Alice Taylor Colbert from South Carolina Humanities, and make sure you take home, I think this year's arrangements are beautiful, so take one home for your home. Also, sponsors do have parking vouchers on your table that they can distribute as well. I do want to recognize, what I'd like to do is take all afternoon and recognize each person at each table, because all of you are worthy of recognition. And if you do recognize someone, you always forget or leave out someone. But I do want to recognize a few of our guests today. But first of all, I want to recognize the table Right to Change. This is their 30th anniversary. They're a wonderful organization. Sarah June Goldstein, her mother Dixie Goswami are both former Governor's Award winners, and they do an awful lot to ensure the future of creativity and art and writing, and so thank you, Right to Change, for 30 years. And board member Bill Comer at his table, some of the guests today, we're very fortunate to have some real prominent folks from South Carolina. folks that I have enjoyed watching on TV for many years, and now meeting in person. A member of the National College Football Hall of Fame, Coach Willie Jeffries and his wife are here today. And Coach Jeffries, stand up. And I know Coach Buddy Pugh's back there too. I said hi to him too. Also from South Carolina State, the president, Dr. Alexander Conyers, and his wife, Agatha, are here. And former president of Wofford College, Joe Lassane, former board member, is here. And the chancellor of USC Beaufort, Al Panu, is here. Al. And Dr. Cedric Adderley, the president of the South Carolina Governor's School for Arts and Humanities, is here. So Dr. Adderley. But thank you all. You all are important parts of the arts and humanities in South Carolina. And as one person told me before we even got started today, he said, this is an interesting room because the people that really care are here. And I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. In your program, you'll see an insert describing highlights of 2024 for South Carolina Humanities. We're completing our 51st year of service in South Carolina and continue to provide grants and to offer special initiatives. This year, we're excited. Our Speakers Bureau is setting a record for most number of presentations around the state, that's an important program of ours. But we could not expand and we could not grow and continue to offer various humanities programs and initiatives without the help and support of the members of our family of friends. So would all of you who are contributors to the Friends of South Carolina Humanities please stand up? Members of the Friends. You're all too shy. We hope, though, today that many of those who are not friends currently will join and become parts of our Friends family. We also have some things out in the foyer on a table, take home, including our 2025 calendars that we always have available for you for the next year. Now, this is the 33rd presentation of Governor's Awards in the Humanities. This has become a very important award in our state, and I know there are former members who are former Governor's Awards winners with us present. Would you please stand so we can recognize you? This event, as well as all of our activities throughout the year, would not be possible without the service of our dedicated staff. I'd like to recognize the SCH staff, the folks who every day I enjoy coming to work and having a chance to work with each one of them. And they basically make sure that all things function well, and they make sure that I look good. So that's what's important. Our Assistant Director, Teresa T.J. Wallace, is in her 20th year with South Carolina Humanities. Our Operations Director, Sarah Rosenbaum's in her 3rd year, and she's responsible for basically this event today. So thank you, Sarah. Our Communications Director, just finishing her 2nd year with us, is Ty Barnes. So thank you, Ty. She's into that. Our Consultant for Special Initiatives is Dr. Alice Taylor Colbert. Thank her when you take your vase and flowers home today. And We just have a new person that's been with us about 1 or 2 months. Our new development director is LaRushla Murphy. LaRushla is speaking at a conference in Baton Rouge, Louisiana today, and couldn't be with us, but she emailed me this morning and said, full speed ahead and have a good luncheon. You'll get a chance to meet her during the year. Now, we're especially pleased and honored today to have a presenting level sponsor of today's event, the College of Charleston. The College of Charleston has been a strong partner with South Carolina Humanities for many, many years. I can remember, because I go back a ways, I can remember working with Dr. Harry Lightsey, who was president of the College of Charleston, and having meetings in his boardroom down there. Then I remember President Alexander Sanders, working with him and having meetings down there at the College of Charleston in his boardroom. We've had former Governor's Award winners from the college, many grants with the college, and many wonderful events and programs. We even had one time a Governor's Award evening presentation at the College of Charleston. So we're very pleased to welcome them as our sponsor today. And speaking on behalf of the College of Charleston is Dr. Jason Coy. Dr. Coy is the Interim Dean of Humanities and Social Sciences and Professor of History. So, Dr. Coy.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jason Coy, and I'm the Interim Dean of the School of Humanities and Social Sciences at the College of Charleston. Let me begin by thanking Randy Akers and the board and staff of SC Humanities for inviting me to represent the college at this year's Governor's Award banquet and for all they do to promote the humanities in the state of South Carolina and beyond. CFC has had a long and fruitful relationship with SC Humanities, and I'm honored to be here to celebrate this year's award winners. Randy asked me to say a few words about the place of the humanities on our campus, and so I'll make some few brief remarks about that so we can get on to the main event and have the presentation of the awards. The College of Charleston has a 250-year history of scholarship and learning in the humanities, and the liberal arts and sciences remain at the heart of what we do today. This year, the college was granted the great honor of establishing a chapter of Phi Beta Kappa on campus, joining just 7% of U.S. universities that have earned this distinction. And this was largely in recognition of our legacy of achievement in the humanities. Even as the College of Charleston embarks on new initiatives and feels its way into the brave new world of generative AI on campus, something I'm sure that many of my academic colleagues are grappling with on their own campuses, our venerable general education core, centered on the humanities, remains central to our identity and our mission, equipping students with the tools to face the challenges of the future. Today's award winners embody these enduring values shared by the College of Charleston and SC Humanities. So I hope you'll indulge me in sharing some of the achievements of one of today's winners, CFC's own Julia Eichelberger. I want to tell you a little bit about just one of the initiatives that she's been involved in the area of public commemoration and restorative social justice, because I think that it exemplifies the role of the humanities, not just on our campuses, but in our communities more broadly, and the impact on the lives of students and citizens of South Carolina that these kind of initiatives can have. At the College of Charleston, Dr. Eichelberger is the Mary Bell Higgins Howe Professor of Southern Literature. She directs the program in Southern Studies, and she is co-chair of the Pathbreaking Campus Committee on Commemoration and Landscapes, and that's what I want to talk about today. Throughout her 30-year career at the College of Charleston, Dr. Eichelberger has embodied the dedication to excellence in the humanities that is recognized by the South Carolina's Governor's Award. She has not only demonstrated outstanding achievement in humanities research, teaching, and scholarship as a leading authority on Mississippi author Eudora Welty, but she has also worked tirelessly to help communities in South Carolina better understand our cultural heritage by recovering and highlighting the role of African Americans and other underrepresented groups in shaping not only the College of Charleston, but also the city of Charleston and the state of South Carolina. In the 1990s, as a member of the English department, she was among the first professors to teach African American literature at the college. As an educator, Dr. Eichelberger constantly bridges the classroom and the community. For instance, her Charleston Writers class features experiential learning opportunities like walking tours and archival research that immerse students in Charleston's diverse cultural heritage. As an educator, she models a commitment to the ideals of a liberal arts education and restorative social justice. Julia Eichelberger also serves on the executive board of the Center for the Study of Slavery in Charleston, part of a network of more than 100 universities sponsoring similar programs. According to Dr. Bernard Powers, who has served as director since the center's founding in 2018, and who is with us today, making reading this quote a little bit awkward, Julia has been a leader on the executive committee from the beginning. We have especially benefited from her vision and ability to conceive of new ways to expand the center's reach and impact. On CFC's campus and in the wider community, Dr. Eichelberger's work on commemorating the experience of underrepresented groups has made a profound impact and has culminated in the launch of an exciting new initiative on our campus. In spring 2021, Dr. Andrew Shue, president of the College of Charleston, created a new campus committee on commemoration and landscapes. It was charged with telling a more complete story of the institution's history by recognizing and celebrating the contributions of historically underrepresented populations on campus. He appointed Julia Eichelberger, who had long championed his efforts, to lead this exciting new initiative, which has begun through signage, campus tours, an online set of exhibits about spaces on campus to tell a more complete, a truer history of our campus and the people who have been a part of it since the 18th century. So I'll close by just thanking everyone in attendance today for all of their contributions to the humanities in our state. I can't wait to hear about all about these 6 amazing award winners and their amazing achievements. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Coy. And now I'd like to turn the program over to our board chair, Dr. Jennifer Thomas. Jennifer is Dean and Vice President of Arts and Academics at the Governor's School for Arts and Humanities in Greenville. She's done a very excellent job in her first year as chair, and we welcome her to the podium.
Thank you, Randy, and welcome, everyone. It's a pleasure to gather for this great program honoring such a stellar class of Governor's Awards and Akers Prize winners. Please join me in appreciation of the SC Humanities staff who pulled this all together so beautifully. They are a remarkable team to work in support of. My first year as chair of SC Humanities has been quite rewarding and eventful. Our most recent board meeting occurred on the Friday morning of Hurricane Helene. We Zoomed from our hotel rooms in Columbia or our offices or houses around the state. We did get the major grants approved and other critical business conducted. So this is a dedicated and diverse bunch on the SC Humanities Board with a long history of supporting the work of SC Humanities and the public humanities more broadly. I'd love to take just a moment to recognize former board members who are in the hall today. If you have been on the board of SC Humanities, would you please stand? And then also our current board members who are in attendance today. Colleagues, would you please stand to be recognized? Thank you. I want to issue a special welcome to Gina Bennett, who was just recently elected to board service, so welcome. It's an honor to share the stage and stand alongside our long-serving executive director, Randy Akers. Randy is in his 37th year of leadership in this role, which makes him the longest-serving director of any humanities council in the United States or territories. So Randy, thank you. Thank you for your expertise and your care for this organization and the public humanities. South Carolina Humanities has completed 51 years of service to and in South Carolina, and we're looking forward to the future. We're beginning a new period of strategic planning and visioning that future, and we'll be communicating with stakeholders through all of our channels about exciting news in the weeks ahead. But today, we are here to celebrate the contributions and honor the contributions of 6 truly remarkable individuals. I hope you've had an opportunity to read their brief bios in the program. They are each remarkable in their distinctive ways and disciplines, and they demonstrate the rich, complex connections that are at the heart of the humanities. Now more than ever, and I don't mean to sound like a film trailer, but if you imagine that voice, now more than ever, or in a time when we really need to see these connections, I think now more than ever, we see them in the work of these individuals that we honor. Connections to cultures, to history, to literature, to stories told and untold. Fundamentally, these are also the connections that we have to each other across all the specificity of our unique experiences. As I read the nominating materials for today's honorees, I was just so struck by the power and authenticity of their work and the connections they have forged. So I will briefly introduce each of our honorees, and then I will welcome you to the podium to give your remarks, and afterward I'll present you with one of these lovely awards, and we'll pause for a photo opportunity together on the stage. So I'm begin with our Akers Prize winners this afternoon. Caroline Sawyer is an associate professor of communication studies at USC Beaufort. Dr. Sawyer has created significant and ongoing humanities opportunities for students, the community, and the state of South Carolina. Her public television series, By the River, was picked up from SCETV for national broadcast. The series is based on interviews with South Carolina authors, often providing historical and cultural insight and context on their work. Genres featured on By the River include memoir, Southern cooking, activist poetry, grit lit, edited collections of memoir essays, mystery, and children's literature. Her students have hands-on production experience in digital media, and she's also guided them to put their skills to work with the Mather School, creating community workshops and documentaries highlighting the significance of this Reconstruction-era school founded to educate formerly enslaved women and girls. Rufus Pinckney, the executive director of the Museum and Interpretive Center there, highlights Dr. Sawyer's investment in providing opportunities for the Matherites to tell their own stories. Quote, "She set up a podcasting station in the museum so that Matherites, those who attended the school, and people who knew them could record their story." Whether in a partnership like this with a nonprofit or in her work at USCB, Dr. Caroline Sawyer has used her resources and expertise to shine a light on culture and history, especially on the deep and rich history of the Lowcountry. Dr. Sawyer, will you please come to the podium to accept this award and share some remarks?
Hello. Thank you so very much. I'm still beside myself with humble gratitude about this award. I don't know how to express how grateful I am. But first, I want to start off with a couple of thank yous, and then I'd like to tell you a quick little story. And because I'm starting things off, I'm going to be the shortest one. How's that? So thank you so much to South Carolina Humanities for the wonderful work that you do supporting projects across our state. Some of these projects have been with Mather Museum and Interpretive Center that we've applied for, and you make it possible for us to do great storytelling about our great state. Thank you so much for my ETV friends and partners in crime with By the River, which is now going to be Books by the River, Holly Jackson and Don Godish for showing up here today to support me. Thank you so much to my parents. My father, William Sawyer, has joined us. My mother could not be here, but William and Candace Sawyer, for instilling in me a passion for using my talents for other people. It's really where all of this comes from. They gave me great examples growing up. Thank you to my husband and partner in life. He is always so cool about saying cool when I show up with a new project that I want to tell him about, and never says, no, maybe you shouldn't do that. He's like, yeah, let's go. What do you need me to do? And he's just amazing with that. I'm a media educator by trade, and my passion is telling stories. I am so grateful to have a job at University of South Carolina, Beaufort, where I'm allowed to combine both of these. Thank you, Drs. Panu and Dr. Skipper, for creating an institution that values experiential learning, service, creativity, and entrepreneurship, and giving me the ability to grow there. Thank you to Dr. Babette Alvarez for recognizing and supporting faculty like me. I'm going to start with a quote. Joseph Campbell, author of The Hero's Journey, stated, "If you're going to have a story, have a big story, or none at all." And I was introduced to a very big story not long ago, and it has been one of the biggest privileges of my life to be part of helping to tell that story. After being asked by the Beaufort County School District to have our USC Beaufort media students work on a mini documentary about the Mather School, Mr. Rufus Pinckney and Miss Alvesta Robertson asked me, could I help them tell the story some more? And so we started on a journey ourselves, and that journey was about to help tell the story of Rachel Crane Mather and how she has impacted the Low Country. You see, their lives and the lives of all these wonderful people over here at the Mather table and other Matherites, their lives were changed forever when Miss Mather moved to Beaufort, South Carolina to start a normal school over 150 years ago. Upon arrival, she found that the area needed more help, specifically housing for orphans and general education instead of just a teacher school. And she asked her sponsoring organization for more money, and they told her no. Well, I'm much like Miss Mather. I don't take no for an answer either. She did not take no for an answer, and while she worked for them for a year, she raised funds, $87, which now would be roughly close to $200,000, to purchase land and set up a boarding school for formerly enslaved children under her name. With funds she received from a northern school, Miss Mather was able to purchase 2 unused Army barracks from Hilton Head Island, float them down the Beaufort River. And let me tell you, that's no feat, because my husband and I have tried to take a boat down Beaufort River, and it's been a bit rough for us to try to do that. But floating these down that river turned one of them into a schoolhouse and the other into dormitories. That school went on to educate African American girls from elementary to high school, then co-ed to high school, and then become a junior college. These people over here that have shown up today for this, to celebrate this award with me, are people that received education from that school and continue to tell that story. Today, this school is part of the Technical College of the Low Country, where Mather School, a museum and interpretive center are housed and run by these volunteers. They graciously welcomed me into their family and welcomed the students at USC Beaufort as well too, giving us the high privilege of working with them to help them tell their story of their education and how it's not only impacted them, but creating opportunities for our students to have high impact experiential learning and to be valued. That some of the projects that they have done is a collaborative walking tour with the Reconstruction Era Historical National Park, digitizing archives, running social media, and collecting the Matherite stories, which will soon become a podcast. Rachel Crane Mather's legacy lives on in the students who were educated there, but it also lives on through anyone who comes in contact with those students. And I just want to say thank you to the Matherites for letting me be part of your journey, accepting me into your family, and giving our students a place for empowerment, experiential learning, and storytelling. My life's forever changed because y'all have allowed me to be part of it. Thank you.
George L. Wingard is known as Buddy to his friends and nominators. He has established himself as an archaeologist and filmmaker who's making invaluable contributions to the public humanities. As program coordinator for the Savannah River Archaeological Research Program, he's led intensive research and outreach on the history of the Savannah River site. Notably, Wingard organized a series of tours of and films about the lost towns displaced by the creation of the U.S. Department of Energy site, which stretches over 300 square miles in Aiken, Allendale, and Barnwell counties. Dr. Allison McCletchie, a professor of sociology and anthropology at South Carolina State, writes, Buddy helps us understand the impact of federal policy on the district, but more particularly on the people who lived there. He gave voice to people who had something done to them over which they had no control, end quote. In 2006, an almost intact clay vessel made by David Drake was unearthed by Wingard's staff on the Savannah River site. Wingard's investment in telling this story visually resulted in the award-winning documentary Discovering Dave, Spirit Captured in Clay. This successful film has been followed by other projects that similarly tell stories and uncover South Carolina history in powerful and accessible ways. His artistic and scholarly commitments are a rare combination. Dr. Sarah Miller, an historian at USC Salkehatchie, writes, quote, whether he's creating a film about a century-old building or a Cold War artifact, the dedication is the same. As a professional historian, I admire Buddy's dedication to research, primary sources, and confirmation of facts. He is as dedicated to the true story as he is to the visual story, end quote. Mr. Wingard, would you please come forward to accept this award and share some remarks?
I have notes. Those who know me know I babble on for about an hour. I'm not going to go that long today. I will keep it short, as I promised Dr. Akers I would do. Thank you, Dr. Akers. Thank you to the Humanities Council for this nomination. It was amazing when I got the word that I had been honored with it. So thank you so much. Thank you for those wonderful words. My bio there. It's interesting to hear all that stuff. I'm only 28, so I'm not sure how that works. I still can't wrap my head around that aspect of it. I'm humbled and honored in receiving this award, and I certainly thank my dear friends, Ms. Tina Monaco and Dr. Tom Mack, who nominated me for this award. I certainly thank them for seeing something and for submitting the nomination. An award like this can't be accomplished without so many people, and to try to name every person would be here for weeks. At our table today, my mother's here, Joyce Carter. She instilled the idea of reading. I love to read because of her. Our daughter, my wife and our daughters came in today flew in from Illinois for this. So thank you for coming in, and other wonderful friends at our table. I had the chance to read the letters written by Dr. Allison McCletchie of South Carolina State, Dr. Sarah Miller at the University of Salkehatchie, and Ms. Deborah Tritt Harmon of the Greg Graniteville Library at USC Aiken. And after I read the letters, I was so touched by their words. They have been wonderful colleagues over the years, and they've been better friends to me also. So I certainly thank them. This playground that we work at, the Department of Energy on the Savannah River site, has really afforded the opportunity for our programs, the Savannah River Archaeological Research Program. They trust us, of course, with the compliance of 13,000 years of history, but also research and outreach. And over the years, we've had so many wonderful sponsors at the Department of Energy that have supported our program and really backed us and have really trusted us to do our job and give us that leeway to kind of reach out for these other projects that we've done there. So we really have to thank them, and especially for the money they give us each year. So that helps us pay our electric bills. I have to thank so many of my colleagues, friends, and really the definition family at the South Carolina Institute of Archaeology and Anthropology, as well as the Savannah River Archaeological Research Program. I feel all of their eyes rolling as I come into the office with another idea, another film story, a display, whatever it is I want to do, I can feel their eyes rolling. But each one of them always step up and are usually my guinea pigs for what it is I want to do, especially Dr. Keith Stevenson, who really gives me that leeway. I come in and tell him, he was like, did you get the budget done? I got the budget done. Yeah, you can go play over there today. So certainly thank you to him for that. For over 30 years, I have, the Savannah River Archaeological Research Program and myself have told the stories of the former residents that were displaced. November 28th, 1950, over 6,000 people were displaced by the building of the Savannah River site. It was known as the Savannah River Project at the time. 6,000 people. They came in November 28th, 1950 and said, you've got to go. You got to leave. And, these people, it was very rough. And I've had the honor to meet so many of these folks over the last 30 plus years. They became very good friends. A lot of them became family. Next year is the 75th anniversary of the announcement, so there's not many left. But those that are still so touched. The towns are such a part of their heart that it's still a part of them after 75 years. And I am truly humbled and honored that they allow me and trust me to tell their stories. They've been such a big part of over 30 years of my life, and a big part of, I think, this award. As mentioned, in 2006, our program discovered a busted and broken Dave jar. I guess here I have to thank David Drake posthumously for the tangent that jar brought to me specifically with quadrupling my presentation load and doing the film Discovering Dave, and still here all these 15 or so years later, I still get phone calls every week. Can you come speak about Dave? For some of you out there who know Mr. Leonard Todd, Mr. Leonard Todd called me last night from Los Angeles and said, can you come out here next year and speak on Dave? So Dave has still got a presence, and people want to hear about Dave. I thank Dave. And that tangent that he sent me down was making films. So I have to thank Mr. Mark Alberton, Mr. Patrick Hayes, and Ms. Sabrina Shutters for kind of guiding me through the filmmaking process, being there as kind of my coach and mentor, and then it sent me down this road of all these other films I've been working on. So that's been a great part of it. Speaking of the films, over the years I've met so many of the folks you interview. You interview a lot of wonderful people when you're doing these films, and they also trust you to tell their stories and allow you to take their words and mold it in a way that you hope when it's over that they appreciate. So those folks are a big part of, again, a big part of this award. Finally, I've got to thank my wife, Elizabeth, who's here. She has been to more museums, more curation facilities. She's walked through more woods. She's visited more cemeteries and been to more of my presentations and probably eaten off more buffet tables than she ever thought she would. So I certainly want to thank her for over 30 years of being there for me, for trusting me, for being with me, doing all this, and being a part of that. So with that, I thank you for this honor. I thank you for this award. And thank you for your time.
You have heard a bit from a colleague earlier on our program about Dr. Julia Eichelberger's distinguished career at College of Charleston, her record of scholarship, leadership, service, and teaching. She's an influential literary scholar whose expertise on Eudora Welty also connects that writer to other 20th century powerhouses such as Ralph Ellison, Toni Morrison, and Saul Bellow. Her work is deeply embedded in the public humanities. As you heard, she was appointed by the president of College of Charleston to co-chair this innovative campus-wide committee on commemoration and landscapes. I would highlight the curation as part of that work, her curation in 2023, in terms of a new auditorium classroom that honor the work and life of Stepzima Clark. So this was a 2023 dedication, which was not just a plaque with a name on it under Dr. Eichelberger's leadership. That is a permanent exhibition and a really inspirational mural that is part of that installation for this champion of literacy and education, Septima Clark. Dr. Eichelberger enjoys routinely getting students into the Charleston community, as you heard through her Charleston Writers program, and her emphasis on the multicultural South of today, yesterday, and tomorrow is really a hallmark of a lot of her work. Harlan Green, who's an archivist, historian, and chair of the City of Charleston's Historical Committee, wrote, quote, "While drawing no attention to herself, Dr. Eichelberger worked to draw attention to groups often left out of historical stories, African Americans, women, indigenous peoples. In the process, she drew other professors and students into the work, creating circles within circles and broadcasting a more inclusive view of the past and present to an international audience." Dr. Eichelberger, will you please join us on the platform?
Wow, thank you for all those kind words, and to the South Carolina Humanities for all that you do for our state and for this honor. I thank the colleagues, friends, and former students who were kind enough to nominate me and even make the drive from Charleston today. When I think of these folks with whom I've had the honor of collaborating over the years, who I know for a fact have done so much more than I have, it seems like there's been some sort of a mix-up. But it's great to be told that I've contributed to our university's goals of truth-telling and inclusion and have played a part, however small, in making our city a little better. So just assuming for the sake of argument that I have actually succeeded at that from time to time, I'd like to say why I think the humanities, especially literature, have helped me get there. Eudora Welty once commented on her work in the 1930s as a photographer and an aspiring writer. She said, "I learned quickly enough when to click the shutter, but what I was becoming aware of more slowly was a story writer's truth. The thing to wait on, to reach there in time for, is the moment in which people reveal themselves. You have to be ready in yourself. You have to know the moment when you see it. A snapshot is a moment's glimpse into what never stops moving, never ceases to express for itself something of our common feeling. Every feeling waits upon its gesture. Then when it does come, how unpredictable it turns out to be, after all." The arts and the humanities teach us how to be ready, how to be alive to what's possible at any given moment, which is always more than we could have predicted. Scholars and thinkers show us how to reinterpret our past and our present. Visual artists show the color and light, the form and symmetries that we hadn't realized could be there. Music lets us feel the space in our heads expand as we listen to harmonies and rhythms. Architects create structures and landscapes that make us feel that we and our neighbors belong there. The humanities show us that in the midst of our everyday lives, more beauty and more wisdom and more solidarity is possible. All of you in this room already know this, but I want to thank you all for sharing these possibilities with others in South Carolina. Literature shows us the complexity of human lives. When we read and inhabit other people's worldviews and stories, we also recognize human emotions that we have felt in our own time and place. Literature shows us we're not alone, but part of an interconnected web of life and memory and expectation that extends from the past to our own time. Literature can help us explore and face those problems we'd really like to avoid thinking about, the cruelty and short-sightedness that even now seem to be sending our planet, our democracy, to the brink of extinction, perhaps past the brink. Literature shows us we are responsible for each other. And for problems we didn't cause, we're responsible for trying to repair our society. When you use literature to understand human experience, you often encounter beautiful metaphors and symbols. These may have spurred me on in some of the opportunities I've encountered for activism or service. Sometimes these endeavors seemed worth the effort because they were such great symbols, such beautiful and powerful expressions of who we're trying to be. Sometimes these symbols express themselves in community gatherings, like the procession I participated in and wrote about a few years ago when we commemorated the reburial of people who'd been found in a long-forgotten graveyard beneath our municipal auditorium. This procession started from the College of Charleston, once a place dedicated to maintaining white privilege. And the procession continued down the street with people playing African drums, celebrating the homecoming of long-forgotten people that our city had enslaved. I was happy we did not miss the chance to participate in this. It was an emblem to me of our community, showing us for a moment what we could be. Sometimes I see these emblems when people in the Charleston Area Justice Ministry stand together at city council or school board meetings, demanding action on injustice and systemic racism in our schools, our law enforcement, our medical industrial complex. When I see us doing this work together, I think, this is who we are trying to be. This is the beloved community. And at the College of Charleston, in interpreting our historic campus, I have come to recognize spaces from the past that deserve commemoration because they show us what we are trying to do in the present. In 2020, archaeology students and faculty members unearthed on our campus the remains of a fireplace and chimney that had been part of a kitchen house where enslaved people had lived and worked. This hearth was a place where people found warmth, where they cooked and ate and rested from their labors, where they passed on wisdom and encouragement to one another. That hearth is an emblem for us as a university. We're trying to nourish the minds, even the spirits of our students. We are maintaining a space where knowledge can be passed on. Another space on our campus was once a bookstore, which was run by a gay couple. These Charlestonians made no secret of their identity, and they maintained a space where intellectuals and queer people and people on both sides of the color line were welcome. In its time, it wasn't part of the college, but today we have the wisdom to recognize that this bookstore represents what we want to be, a space of belonging and of learning. We can commemorate it and say to our students, queer people were here before you, and they not only survived, they made this community better. Literature has helped me to be on the lookout for things like that. I guess that partly explains my persistence as a teacher, as a scholar, as a writer and community member. My belief that when opportunities present themselves to us, we must try our best to take them. So I'll close with a quotation by Marilyn Robinson from a novel called Gilead. In it, the narrator is writing about a kind of courage that he believes in and which I also aspire to. He says, there's a kind of courage that allows us to acknowledge that there is more beauty than our eyes can bear, that precious things have been put into our hands, and to do nothing to honor them is to do great harm. And therefore, he says, this courage allows us to make ourselves useful. Literature and the humanities can give us this kind of courage and show us how to make ourselves useful. Thank you very much.
Our second Governor's Award winner is Dr. George McDaniel. Dr. McDaniel is the retired director of, but still actively engaged spokesperson for, Drayton Hall, an 18th century historic site and popular Charleston tourism destination. Under his leadership, however, the house and lands have become a center for learning for students of all ages and a powerful nexus of oral history and preservation of lived experiences. Dr. McDaniel oversaw archaeological surveys, excavated the dwellings of enslaved residents of the site, restored damage from Hurricane Hugo, and then wrote about disaster recovery on historic sites so that other organizations could learn from his experience. His striking commitment to the stories of Drayton Hall was inclusive and comprehensive. He interviewed descendants, white and black. He interviewed staff and board members, professionals in history, architecture, historic preservation, and education. The collection of interviews broke ground as a format for this genre when it was published as Drayton Hall Stories, A Place and Its People. Dr. McDaniel served in the Peace Corps as well as in the 1st Infantry Division in the Vietnam War. Prior to his tenure at Drayton Hall, he was a history scholar and teacher whose focus on oral history and historic preservation earned him an internship and fellowship with the Smithsonian. He worked intensively as a board member for the establishment of the International African American Museum in Charleston. Today, he runs McDaniel Consulting, LLC, a strategy firm that helps organizations use the humanities to connect with broader audiences. Dr. McDaniel cannot be with us here in person today because he is in Baton Rouge receiving another Lifetime Achievement Award. That one is from the Southeastern Museum Association. He has prepared a video so that we will have an opportunity to hear from him on this occasion.
I want to thank the South Carolina Humanities for the support not only of Drayton Hall, but for all of the organizations in South Carolina. They make a real difference to the good. This book would not be possible without the support of the South Carolina Humanities and many of the projects that we've engaged in Drayton Hall would not be possible without their support. So the South Carolina Humanities really plays a key role in furthering the humanities and our understanding of people in South Carolina. This book is a product of their work. I could have written a book, a narrative history of Drayton Hall, but that will be done. But I thought more important is to gain the perspectives of people who of the diversity of people who value Drayton Hall. And that includes board members, both black and white, descendants of Drayton Hall, both black and white, historians, architects, preservationists, conservationists, museum professionals, and so forth. So look at one place, but from a variety of points of view, always as in a novel like William Faulkner. And I was influenced by Faulkner and other modern writers. And you look at that, and I hope you look at your site, your museum, and you look at it from both your perspective, but also from the perspective of other people as well. I think you'll find that that effort both rewarding and educational as well. This book could not be written today. She has Alzheimer's and is now in New York, and he's deceased. About a third of the people in the book are either infirm or have deceased. So this book is critical for Drayton Hall's efforts to preserve the past. It's also critical for you to get engaged and to step forward and to record memories of people who love your site, love your museum, the founders of it, the supporters of it over the years, visitors, etc. Because that's what makes your site so special. It's not only the architecture or the place itself, but also the people who support it, who love it. And so I recommend this book to you, not only because I've written it, but also because it's a model for how you can look at your site, wherever it may be located in South Carolina, for a variety of points of view of South Carolinians to support your efforts. Thank you.
Dr. Bernard Powers from the College of Charleston is here to receive this award on Dr. McDaniel's behalf. As Dean of Libraries here at the University of South Carolina, Thomas McNally developed collections, renovated or rescued facilities, promoted the public humanities through the dynamic role of a library in a public university. Reading his nomination materials reminded me of the reasons Thomas Jefferson put the library at the heart of the campus design for the University of Virginia, rather than the chapel. USC President Emeritus Harris Pastides wrote at length of Tom McNally's work to renovate the South Caroliniana Library, which was designed by Robert Mills and opened in 1840 as the first national freestanding college library, first in the nation. Among its collections are the letters and law degree of Richard Greener, the university librarian after Reconstruction, and its first African-American faculty member. Greener's is the only diploma that the university has in its collection from the Reconstruction era. The letters and papers of Mary Boykin Chestnut and General Francis Marion are also housed there, as are fragile glass plate negatives by African-American photographer Richard Samuel Roberts, documenting daily life in Columbia in the 1920s and 30s. There's a large hand-colored Audubon print depicting several South Carolina parrots. Can you tell I just got fascinated by what was in the collections that this amazing person has preserved? McNally led the fundraising effort with legislators and donors for a fire suppression system and for more significant renovations as well. The list of collections that Dean McNally acquired for the libraries of University of South Carolina is far too lengthy to read here, but it contains papers, manuscripts, and letters that bring humanities scholars to USC from around the world to study. The Movie-Tone News collection of nitrate motion picture films capturing national and global politics and culture between 1919 and 1934 and 1934 to 1942 is digitized, as well as preserved in a modern climate-controlled bunker, thanks to Thomas McNally. We are sorry that Mr. Tom McNally could not be with us today, but once again, we have a video from him to share.
Good afternoon. I apologize for not being with you today. My recovery from my illness has been slower than I expected. I really look forward to this luncheon. I look forward to seeing so many of you, but I promise I'll see you in the very near future. I have 5 minutes, and I'm going to spend that time thanking the people who made this possible. And I really have to start with Randy and the Humanities Council and the people who nominated me for this award. I am truly humbled. This is something that I never imagined happening to me. I've worked for 32 years as an administrator for the University of South Carolina libraries, the last 15 of which I was Dean of Libraries. When I became Dean, I decided that I wanted to work towards two goals. One was I wanted to bring in the papers of important writers to our collections. So if you want to study the papers of Pat Conroy or Ryan Rash or Elmore Leonard or Dashiell Hammett, you've got to come to the University of South Carolina to do that. The second thing that I wanted to do was to renovate the South Caroliniana Library. And I worked on the Caroliniana for 10 years and I stepped down as dean a couple of years before we were finished. So that was a 12-year project. But I was very lucky in my time as dean. I had a great administration. Harris Pastides was my president. My first provost was Michael Amaritis. My second provost was Joan Gable. And all of these individuals, when I asked them for help, they never said no. They simply said, what can I do to help you? The second group of people that were very important to my success were all the people who worked in the library. The library's a large machine, and the dean is just one cog in that machine. It took everybody doing their jobs well in order to accomplish what we did. And the last group of people that I'd have to thank are the people in the Columbia community, people in the state, and alumni everywhere who gave their time, their wisdom, their collections, and their financial resources for us to be able to accomplish what we did. So the dean's the person who gets the credit, but the real work takes place behind the scenes. And so let me once again thank all of you for coming. Thank Randy and the Humanities Council for the award. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. I hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Reese Williams, who is a dear friend of both SC Humanities and Tom McNally, will receive the Governor's Award on Tom's behalf. Victoria Smalls is our final honoree this afternoon only because this is an alphabetical order program. She is a headliner, truly, in her work as executive director of the Gullah Geechee National Heritage Corridor. As a Gullah Geechee native of St. Helena Island in Beaufort County, Ms. Smalls works as a preservationist, historian, educator, artist, and arts advocate. Her contributions and leadership extend to a range of cultural and educational organizations on the state and national levels. She has served as program manager for the International African American Museum in Charleston, as an educator in Beaufort County schools. She has provided leadership at the Penn Center in a variety of roles. She has served as a state commissioner on the South Carolina African American Heritage Commission and a federal commissioner through the Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor. She was a National Park Ranger for the Reconstruction Area National Historic Park. She's been named a Leo Twiggs Arts Diversity Leadership Scholar and a Riley Fellow in Diversity Leadership. Her nominator, Janie Harriet, shared some of Ms. Smalls' personal story. She is Gullah, one of 14 siblings in the blended family of St. Helena Island's first ever biracial couple. She grew up speaking Gullah and working the land. Today, she is a successful artist, educator, and a mother raising the next generation. Victoria is a living part of history. With a philosophy based on unity within diversity, Ms. Smalls has made significant and ongoing contributions to the public humanities in South Carolina and beyond. So it's my honor to invite her to the stage to receive this award.
Ooh. Wow, what a blessing. So good afternoon, South Carolina. I feel like all of the state must be in here today. I am deeply honored to stand before you today to receive the Governor's Award presented by the South Carolina Humanities. And I want to begin by extending my heartfelt congratulations to all of the other honorees. Your dedication to humanities has a profound impact on our state, and it is a privilege to share the recognition with each of you. Our collective efforts to preserve and advance the cultural and historical legacies of our state today, make today a celebration, not just of individual accomplishments, but of shared missions to uplift our communities. Standing here, I am filled with gratitude for the people who have shaped my life and guided my path. So first and foremost, I have to thank my beloved parents, Laura and Elting Smalls, who have a remarkable story of their own meeting at the Penn Center during the Civil Rights Movement. Very early, they taught me that work done in the spirit of service is the highest form of worship. Their example, along with the teachings of my faith, the Baha'i faith, have shaped how I approach every role I take on. In particular, the Baha'i principle, let deeds, not words, be your adorning, has been a guiding light throughout my journey. I believe that it is through our actions, how we serve, uplift, educate, and protect our communities, that we truly leave a mark. And it is this belief that has driven my work in the arena of life. I would like to express my gratitude to my family here that joined me today. My son, Sancho Smalls, right here. My daughter, Layla Love. My sister, Lynn Bryant. My dear friend, Dr. Pernessa Seal, and my love, Frederick Capers. They have supported me in countless and profound ways. The work that I have done in partnership with all and anybody I can bring along to preserve the Gullah Geechee history, art, and culture is more than just a career for me. It is my calling. I even feel a divine calling, and has always been a personal mission of mine. And as a proud native of St. Helena Island, wow, Gullah Geechee is instilled in me and is part of my very identity. The Gullah Geechee people, with our rich cultural practices and enduring connections to Africa's diaspora, have been central to my life's mission. Through my roles, I've had the privilege of working to preserve our history, protect our sacred lands, and ensure that stories of the Gullah Geechee people are not just remembered, but celebrated. One of the most rewarding aspects of the work has been witnessing the pride that comes when a community sees its history recognized and its culture honored. I think often of the elders who have shared their stories with me, some stories of shame and some of celebration, some of heartbreak and some of triumph. Stories passed down through generations that speak to their resilience, the strength and wisdom of the Gullah Geechee people. Their voices echo in my heart often, reminding me daily of the importance of this work. When I see the joy and pride in their eyes as they see their legacies preserved, it fuels my passion to keep pushing forward. It is when you learn the stories of others that you discover yourself. And it was when I was working as a National Park Ranger with Reconstruction Era National Historical Park that one of the rangers found where my third great-grandfather was born. There was a time when the International African American Museum in Charleston was looking up one of the genealogists there was looking up some of my lineage, and it stopped at Sancho Smalls, or Sanko, or Senko Smalls, as it's pronounced in Sierra Leone. And the National Park Service found that my third great-grandfather was born in Sierra Leone, West Africa. What an amazing story, and a place where I can help connect the great divide between our stories. So in this moment, I really want to take honorary privilege just to honor the memory of 7 elders that perished on Sapelo Island in Georgia while they were attending and celebrating a sacred ceremony, their cultural day. May their legacy of resilience, wisdom, and cultural preservation inspire and uplift us all. I also want to take a moment to acknowledge collaborators, great and mighty collaborators who have walked this path with me. Some are here today. I want to thank from the Penn Center, to the International African American Museum, the Lincolnville Preservation and Historical Society, the National Park Service, my university families, South Carolina State University, go Bulldogs, and the University of South Carolina, Beaufort, go Sand Sharks. So, and then I also want to thank the hardest working woman in the state of South Carolina, Janie Harriet, for nominating me today. She's also been a longtime mentor of mine and has really guided my path along many challenges and triumphs. So I am deeply grateful for the collaboration and support that has made my work and our work possible. As I reflect on this moment, I believe the work we are doing now, whether it's preserving a historic landmark, educating future generations, will continue to ripple outward. The stories we tell today and the legacies we protect will inspire future generations to carry forward the torch of service, advocacy, education, and preservation. Finally, the South Carolina Humanities Board, I want to thank you all. I want to thank the powerful, tiny team of the South Carolina Humanities, led by Randy Akers. My profound gratitude to you all, as both as a recognition of the work we have done and as a reminder of the work that still lies ahead of us. Well, placing my development hat on, I always call myself a strategic partnerer. And just for 3 seconds, South Carolina Humanities does so much to support all of the organizations that I've mentioned, almost all, and many that I work with as a consultant. So let us continue to all remember to continue your generous support of South Carolina Humanities. So in my first language of Gullah, I want to say, I gladi fasi una today, and I hope fasi una soon and we land a gola kisi. Thank you, thank you. Thank you.
Please join me in congratulating once again all of our award winners this afternoon. So before we disperse, I would love to invite our winners again to the front for a group photo just before you spread out to enjoy your celebrations. I want to thank all of you for coming from across South Carolina today for this event. We hope to see you here again next year. In the meantime, please check out the South Carolina Humanities website for a calendar of events going on across the state. I am pretty sure that wherever you live, there's likely to be a program nearby in the upcoming weeks and an opportunity for you to participate directly in the public humanities that we celebrate today. Please remember to take the centerpiece with you from your table, and thank you again to Alice. Have a wonderful afternoon.